Good evening, leaders. I trust you are well and you had a good week. And you're also able to hear me well. And probably you can just give me an indication if you can hear me well. Either thumbs up or just a text message. I'll be able to know we are communicating as we start our discussion tonight. Thank you, Beldina. So let me check with the others. Mr. Mwangi, Mr. Brian, Milka. If you can hear me, let me know. Okay, I can see on the chat. Milka, you're saying yes, great. Thank you, Milka. How about Brian? And Mr. Mwangi, let me see, loud and clear, Brian. Good, so yet again, we're grateful for this opportunity just to be able to have a sitting with the leaders as we see how do we better our leadership. And I think this is a very healthy conversation for us who are seated together in this setup, and also more importantly, to be able to carry forward this discussion to other people that we are leading. And I am hoping and trusting that at least you had something to share with the leaders from our discussions last week. And today again, we'll request that pick something that you can run with. Remember our study method. So our study method, maybe someone just text it on the chat if you remember the study method and what it means. So that is very important because we're able to filter whatever we are learning and see what to apply and what to be able to carry forward for other people. So tonight, again, this is going to be a very, very engaging discussion. There's quite a lot that we're going to pick today from lesson 3 and lesson 4. This will be more of our just evaluating ourselves. We say that one of the objectives of this masterclass is to provide a platform for self-care, self-reflection, and probably just a moment to be able to pause as a leader, reflect, get deeper into ourselves, and then be able to see how we can package whatever is in us and bring it well to be able to serve others and create an impact as much as we are influencing the people within our environment. So we'll jump right on. Yeah, thank you, Beldina, reminding us lacked. Maybe you can go a step further and maybe define what L stands for, A stands for, C, and T. And anybody else can contribute to that. Then we'll pick it up. Allow me to say a prayer, then we move on. God, we are grateful again. I want to say thank you for this wonderful opportunity. And I will pray that as we continue with the discussion about leadership, you will continue to imprint whatever we are learning deep into our hearts. More importantly, help us to be able to run with what we are picking from this discussion, apply it into our lives, and benefit those and improve the life of those that we are leading, oh God. We pray that as we continue with this discussion, may you, oh God, take preeminence in everything that we say this night. This we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. 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 So LACT stands for learn, apply, change, teach. Yeah, thank you, Beldina. Learn, apply, change, and teach. Last week, as you can remember, we had a discussion on lesson 1, and we looked at a few definitions before embarking on the leadership gap. And we liked the conversation. It was really a very engaging discussion from your end and from our end here. And maybe we can start from there just by trying to remind ourselves what we were able to look at last week. So if you look at this leadership challenge or this puzzle, there are quite a number of words that we picked last week from our discussion. Remember, we talked about the 5 C's of a global leader. And we also talked about the 6 I's of a global leader, which is very important because they are a form of our identity. And they also try to focus us on what areas we need to think about and what is our role as leaders. So from this chart, what can you identify? What can you pick from our discussion last week? Either from the 6 I's, the 5T, the 5 C's, sorry, the 1T, or any other keyword you can pick from this chart. Just share on the chat whatever you're able to pick from our last discussion. This is just to help us recap on what we discussed last week before we jump into the discussions for today. So what keywords can you pick from this chart, which is part of the recap from our last week's discussion? So let's see just a few of them. Just a few of them on the chat, or if you feel you can also unmute and just mention, that's still okay.
Okay, good evening.
Yeah,
I can see.
Good evening, Milka. Good evening, Milka. You are muted. Please unmute and just mention.
Compassionate and inspiration.
Compassionate and inspiration. Thank you so much. I can see, Brian, you have also indicated inspiration. So inspiration is among the 6 I's. Compassion is among the 5 C's. Yeah, so we still have about 4 C's and 5 I's. So let's see, even if it's not from the puzzle, you can, whatever maybe you can recall, feel also free just to indicate on the chart. The 5 C's of a global leader and the 6 I's of a leader that defines a leader. Inspiration is one of them. Compassionate is one of them. Competency is another one. Thank you, Beldina. Competency, Bernard. Clarity, we have integrity. So we have 2 I's now, integrity and inspiration. We have 3 C's now, competency, clarity, and compassion. So we're remaining with the 2. Okay, I'll pick one more and then we proceed. One more, and then we move on. Okay. So competency, clarity, compassion, and then we have integrity, inspiration. So for the C's, there are 2 remaining. So we talked about competency, we talked about clarity, we talked about conviction, we talked about character, we also talked about compassion. And then for the 6 I's, we talked about integrity, influence, intelligence, integration. We talked about impact. Yeah, so those are the 6 I's and the 5 C's, and I think conviction comes out again from Milka. So thank you so much. So that is the basis. That is the foundation of our discussion. We're just laying the foundation so that we can be able to pick up from there. And those 6 I's are very important. Every time we're talking about leadership, those are keywords that should come out from our discussion, both in terms of our discussion and also in terms of the demonstration of our leadership qualities. So I think it's just good to have them at the back of our mind so that they help us. Now, today we are going to look at lesson 3, and then between we'll have a brief discussion about the book review. So as we go through this, just maybe single out maybe one or two key issues that came out very strong from the book review. We'll discuss that in between the two sessions, just briefly. So we'll start with lesson 3. And lesson 3 is very important because we are talking about the different leadership development models. How do I need to package my growth? How should I balance my development as a leader? Because personal development is a key success factor for any leader. Actually, John Maxwell puts it, as you can see there on the screen, that the single biggest way to impact an organization is to focus on leadership development. And we say leadership development is the turning point of a person, of an organization, of a country. If we really want to make any change in any area of a personal life, then I need to think more about leadership. How do I better lead myself? And Robin Sharma, the writer of a book titled The Leader Who Had No Title, he says the safest way to triple your success is to double your investment in personal development. Because personal development is a personal initiative. And sometimes I call it a narrow path. Not many people may choose this path because sometimes it doesn't look like it's rewarding, especially if you look at it from an immediate perspective. But in terms of long-term perspective, you realize again it comes with much impact and also bigger rewards. So it's a journey that few people manage to take it, and the few again ends up excelling and climbing to the peak of the success triangle, where few are not able to go because we are saying it's a narrow path. So as we look at this, I just want to pose this question to all of us in terms of a challenge. And this is the question that I want us to think about. What programs or activities are you engaging in currently for enhancement of your personal growth? What programs or activities are you engaging in currently to be able to better your personal growth? Are you able to single out maybe a few? Yeah, just think about that at a personal level. This one might range from maybe something educational, professional development. It might be a research you're undertaking. Maybe you're in a life skills program, workshops, seminar, conferences, or even books, videos, or journals. All this, but they must be intentional. Something that I know I'm picking something, I'm growing in a particular line, I'm growing in a particular domain by embarking on this particular program or activity. And the greatest predictor of success is our intentional personal growth. It's engaging in personal growth in a purposeful way, where I plan it out and I'm able to flow with it. And remember that without a commitment to planned personal growth, then it's possible to grow based on circumstances, because sometimes we are pushed by circumstances to adjust. But I think it's much better if we can be more intentional about this, because this is a key component of our life. So intentionality is key in personal growth and development. And there are phases, and we try and look at these phases together. As you think about leadership development, or even the different models, we need to single out in terms of where do I start and what key areas of focus should I be considering in this particular phase or in this particular domain. There are basically 3 leadership development areas. One is leading self. So I need to grow as a leader in terms of leading self. The key aspects when it comes to leading self, we look at developing personal mastery and authentic leadership. This is where now self-awareness becomes very critical. And you can do this through a 360 feedback process. At the end of this, we'll also be able to share some tools that we can also be able to use to deepen our self-awareness. Again, we look at values, purpose, and core beliefs, personal. We also look at connection and articulation of personal vision. So leading self is anchored on self-awareness, is anchored on the values that I've defined for myself, the purpose, core beliefs, and also a personal vision. That's what now helps a person to be able to embark on the journey of leading self. How about leading people? The shift here, or the focus here, is in terms of developing relationship mastery and interpersonal excellence, because now we are getting into the domain where we've been able to lead selves. Now we are looking at how do we lead the teams, how do we lead people. So the issues of collaboration and partnership skills, or basically communication and influencing, as well as negotiation skills, becomes critical. Emotional intelligence, this has become very important in our discussions. Cross-board, in most discussions, you'll find this issue of emotional intelligence coming up, because it's one of the aspects that even corporates are trying to look at, because we want people that can be able to relate and people who have some level of resilience in terms of interacting with the people. Then managing people and developing their potential is key in terms of leading people. How about leading the organization? Now here we are looking at how do we perform? How do we create a culture of high performance through a vision, through strategy, through building a culture of commitment, trust, hard work, critical thinking, among other. So we're looking at achieving maximum impact and maximum performance. This is now where now someone is trying to look at an organization and how profitable the organization is and how we're able to excel in terms of achieving the objective of that organization. So these are the various domains, but we'll get deeper a little bit as we continue. So when we are looking at leadership development models, we talk about three: the iceberg leadership development model, the 80-20 leadership development model, and the success triangle leadership development model. The iceberg basically categorizes two areas of growth, or two areas of personal development. That for me to grow as a leader, I need to grow in these two areas, and I need to create a balance in terms of the weight. I need to grow in hard skills as well as soft skills, or horizontal development and vertical development. And maybe I'll pose a question here. What is the difference between horizontal development and vertical development? The difference between horizontal and vertical development. If someone can help us just to unpack this. Horizontal development and vertical development. What is the difference?
Could I attempt that?
Yes, please.
I'm thinking horizontal development is the development with people at the same level. Mm-hmm. Then vertical is relationships, building relationships with people who are above you or below you. Mm-hmm. That's my thinking.
Yeah, thank you, Baldina. Thank you. Is there any other perspective? Or... Yeah, so we'll look at.
Maybe you can attempt, and I can attempt and just add to what Baldina has said. That horizontal development is where you are learning from your peers, people at the same level. Then vertical development is where you are learning from people who are above you and probably they are doing well. They are like you're emulating them. They are like the examples that you want to be.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Milka. Yeah, I know there are different definitions, and there are also different perspectives. and even what you have shared is true. Today we might look at a little bit a shift on that. So we look at it from another perspective, as I'll just explain briefly. But when you're talking about the tip here of the iceberg is putting a focus on maybe the hard skills, the teachable and measurable abilities, the technical skill or professional skills, basically within your domain. For example, for me, I'm an IT expert. So when it comes to technical, that's the area that I focus on. But I need to create a balance with the soft skills. The soft skills here are those particular traits that make me a better leader in that domain or even beyond. So am I able to communicate with the people? Am I able to relate? Am I able to accommodate people in terms of emotional intelligence, social intelligence, and also integrity? And this has been given more weight. Maybe, I don't know, why do you think we are giving more weight to the soft skills than hard skills in this iceberg leadership development model? And I think that's a good question. I've never asked that question in any other cohort. I think this is the first time I'm posing that question. Why do you think we are giving more weight to the soft skills than the hard skills?
People are relational.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, it's very good that you learn how to relate well, because these are the same people that you will require them to be able to achieve the objectives of the organization. So I think that is why we need to be more relational than just maybe giving instructions. Again, when you have good relations, then you're able to bargain and get a lot from the people, because people will develop trust.
Yeah, true. People are relational. That's very key. And leadership is all about relationships, and communication among those other soft skills are key. Yeah, thank you, Milka. I see Beldina, you had unmuted. You had something to add?
Yes, to add to what Milka has said, leadership is about influence, and you need to know from where you are coming in so that you can influence people. So you need that emotional intelligence. How do I package this so that it can influence the people that I want to influence? And then also listening, so that you know what are the needs of the people, so that even as you're leading them, you know these are the needs that people have. So I think if you want to listen, if you want to influence, then you really need those soft skills.
Wow. I will not add anything. I think that's very, very clear. And it has given more insight to this chat. For this masterclass, we look at horizontal development in terms of acquiring more knowledge, more skills, and more information. It focuses mostly on how do I expand my toolkit in terms of adding more skills, more knowledge, and becoming more competent. But when you look at vertical development, it goes beyond gaining skills, knowledge, and information, or becoming more competent. It's about gaining new perspectives and leadership mindsets that is required to make your organization successful. Yeah, so here we are looking at the perspectives. How do we grow in terms of our perspectives, in terms of the mindset? So it's about more complex and sophisticated way of thinking. We are dealing with developing critical thinking. You're thinking about how to deal with complex issues. So it focuses about expanding or developing or becoming more dynamic in terms of the mindset, changing the way we think and even act. So it's mostly about developing the capacity to be able to be a critical thinker. And it's summarized down there that vertical development is not about just training a leader just in skills alone. It's about transforming the way a leader thinks, which will impact what they do and how they behave. So attention here is about making a leader more critical thinker, being able to adapt, more of self-aware, more of a collaborative thinker, and also expand beyond self to working in a network and how to be able to tap into that network. So that's the angle we are looking at it from this discussion. So for the iceberg leadership development model, as you've seen, the tip is more of those skills that are easily observable. But when it gets to the core of the iceberg, now we start getting into the intrinsic part of a person. The intrinsic part of a person, the attitudes, the values, and the other key aspect. This is what we call the heart set. It also addresses the mindset. So we are saying that leadership requires all this because it has the aspect of leading in terms of having the heart to lead, gaining the knowledge to be able to lead, and also acquiring the skills to be able to lead, but more importantly, being in a position where we are able to sacrifice to lead, to trade off. It's full of trade-off. Yeah, so leadership is saying is a function that requires these four components. And we'll unpack this into the iceberg model so that we look at how do we focus in these areas in terms of the ratio. For example, the tip represents the skill sets. So the knowledge, the skill, and also the experience comes at the tip, what we are calling the 20%. And we appreciate this, is very important. But you're saying again now, when it comes to becoming a better leader, then we go beyond the tip and we get into the essence of a person, the thinking styles. That's what we call the vertical development, the motivation. We get into the beliefs about leadership, beliefs and the values. Here we have the issues of character also under the core of the iceberg. And this is what normally defines a leader. A leader is defined by this core part of the iceberg, because our motive, our belief about leadership determines our standard of leadership and the quality of leadership that we are able to offer. So if we combine this with the success triangle is a very straightforward development model, because it emphasizes that for me to be successful, I need to grow in three areas. I need to grow in knowledge, skills, and attitude. So basically that if I grow in those areas, then to some extent, I'm assured of success in that particular domain or in that particular area, or in generally in life. Yeah, and if you look and compare this with the iceberg model, you realize that it also, the success triangle covers all the areas in the iceberg model. The only difference is that doesn't give them the percentage. So attitude is critical, and we'll talk about the attitudes, the different attitudes later on as we continue, because this is what distinguishes the successful and unsuccessful leaders. It's based on our attitude and our thinking style. There's an author, a US author called Zig Ziglar, and he says that your attitude, not your aptitude, will determine your altitude. How far I go is not just based on my aptitude, probably my academic, which is good, but it goes beyond that into how I think about me as a person and how I think about probably even life in general. That is what determines how successful I become in life. So for the skills, there are various skills. We look at some of them later on, like communication. We look at that. We'll also look in terms of goal settings. We'll integrate this with another topic. Attitudes, I'll take you through this, but we'll also have a session on character that will take care of integrity, among a few others that we'll look at. Knowledge, I think basically this will span through our discussions all through. So this is basically the two models combined. Again, when we bring on board the third model, the 80-20 leadership development model, probably some of you or all of you have heard this principle, the Pareto principle. The Pareto principle, this is what informs this model. And the Pareto principle states that for many outcomes, roughly 80% of those the consequences come from 20% of the causes. So the effect is basically the effect and causes. So you realize that 80% of the effects come from the 20% of the causes, what we call the vital few. And this will be very important because at this juncture, the discussion will be mostly on have we identified our vital few that gives us the maximum effect so that we are properly aligned. So combining this with this author, Carl Van, what he says, the role of making exceptional performance. And basically, for him, performance or leadership is 80% attitude toward a job, 20% skills, knowledge, and experience. So an individual performance is more closely linked to how they perceive and describe their job than what they know or what they can do. And I think now at this point, we can see how critical that aspect of attitude that we've been discussing shifts the whole scenario. So attitude will impact the performance and also job satisfaction. And this is very important when it comes to issues of leadership. So the 80-20 leadership development model, it puts emphasis on the leadership quality based on 80% of personal essence, on how we focus on the personal essence. So you realize these models are almost talking about the same thing with a very little shift in terms of probably the ratio, probably the language that comes across. So for an effective leader, then I need to think about my vital few, or what gives me maximum effect. Those few things or few, the few areas or the few, the areas that I need to put a more close focus on in terms of skills, knowledge, in terms of strength that are able to give me maximum effort. And that's when we say someone is properly aligned, because I'm able probably to do less, but with maximum impact. Less here means I'm able to really be focused on the vital few that gives me maximum impact. I think that's how this one, I'm deliberating just to bring this out because in this masterclass, this is very important because it's not about how much I'm able to do, but it's about the impact that I'm able to make. And that's why being more focused, identifying the vital few that gives me maximum impact becomes very, very important so that I'm impactful and I'm also able to influence more. Effective leadership will always balance 20% efforts that yields 80% impact. 20% efforts that yields 80% impact. The 20% that I need to focus on that gives me the maximum impact. So this principle, again, applies in different areas. You can see there are some real life examples. Maybe 20% of customers bring 80% of revenue. There are different other areas that we can apply in this. But for us here is, what are the areas that I can focus in that will give me maximum impact? So that is a discussion, and this will be the area of challenge. And again, just looking at the time management quadrant, it also tells you where you need to put our focus more. especially on issues that fall on quadrant 2, yeah, like relationship building, long-term planning, personal growth. This is where we should have, these are like our 20%, the areas that we need to put more focus in, because they will give us a maximum impact. So attitude, we have talked a lot about attitude. And allow me just to mention a few things about attitude. And we are saying these are a set of emotions or beliefs or even behaviors. It can be toward a person, towards a thing, and they come from, attitude is a long-term. It grows through life, either through our upbringing, through the experience that we have had in life, and it influences a person's behavior. So attitude defines personality. In most cases, we realize it's very easy to define a person based on the attitude of that person, because attitude speaks so much about a person. So a person can have a positive attitude, negative attitude, neutral attitude, and we'll just look at this without going to much details. For example, when you're talking about a leader with positive attitude, you're saying this is someone that keeps a positive mindset, yeah, and is able to think the greater good, no matter the circumstance. This is a leader that is collaborative, a leader that is complement, a leader that is resilient, confident, is sincere, and also determined. Yeah, so a positive attitude brings strength, energy, motivation, and initiative. How about a negative attitude? A leader with a negative attitude is saying this is a leader that ignores the good things in life and only think about what and why things cannot work. I'm sure we have worked with different kind of leaders, and maybe you have worked with a positive leader and also you have worked with a negative leader, and you can see how the environment the environment is conditioned based on the leader attitudes. So a leader with a negative attitude is mostly competitive. You'll find the environment is more of competition. There's a lot of competition thinking, a lot of comparative thinking, less resilient, anger, insecurity, among other things, prevail in that kind of a relationship. And someone said that a bad attitude is like a flat tire. You can't go anywhere until you change it. You cannot make a good leader until we are able to address this particular issue. Neutral attitude. When it comes to neutral attitude with leadership, again, here the only dilemma we have is in terms of making decision, because sometimes we need to make critical decision on time and timely. So for a neutral attitude, they have no doubt, neither any hope. They're here and there. Yeah, they tend to ignore problems in life, feel disconnected. They never feel the need to change themselves, as they can simply live with the way they are. The language here is, my attitude is based on how you treat me. So this kind of a leadership has some gaps as well. How about the second attitude? This is a more aggressive negative attitude, more aggressive. Yeah, it destroys the image of every element that reflects in the mind. It's deep-rooted within a person's personality. And Scott Hamilton said, the only disability in life is a bad attitude. The power of attitude in leadership is very important because it's a major determinant factor. People may hear your words, but they feel your attitude. And attitude will always reflect in our leadership. And someone said leadership is practiced not so much in words as in our attitude and action. In our attitude and action. That is where we practice leadership mostly. In conclusion, we are saying that attitude defines a leader's personality. It's very easy to define a leader by his or her attitude. And generally, a leader's attitude will either be inspiring or depressing. And people in general will prefer to stick around leaders with positive vibration, leaders who inspire you, leaders who tells you about a good future, the better future ahead of you. Leaders who are authentic. Yeah, so bad or good attitude has the power to influence people's thoughts and behavior. So as we grow as leaders, we need to create this balance. We need to identify what are the vital few skills, knowledge, or attitude that I need to grow in. And what are the 80% personal essence, the mindset, the attitude, the values, the emotional intelligence, the communication that I need to also focus on. And again, you can see this one has more weight. And we also need to think about what gives us the maximum impact, the 80% that gives us the maximum impact. And this one will come from isolating the vital few, the 20% or the 20% of areas or actions or the strength or the skills that gives us the maximum impact or the maximum effect. So this is the leadership balance, And I remember that successful leaders, they embrace positive mental attitude. That's why the issue of attitude becomes critical, because attitude can be a catalyst. It can be a catalyst to help us utilize well in terms of the skills, in terms of knowledge, and also in terms of our experience or in terms of our leadership. So basically, in our leadership development model, we need to look at the iceberg, the skills, so that we create a balance. And we also look at the soft skills. We need to grow horizontally, and we also need to grow vertically. And we also need to grow in terms of the impact, isolating the areas that gives us maximum impact, and isolating the vital few that really defines us so that we can be successful as leaders. So this is important, and just want to pause there. And I hope that we've been able to pick probably one or two things that we can run with from this discussion. This will be the leadership challenge. As a leader, identify and prioritize your 20% skills, knowledge, attitudes, habits, or strengths, or areas of passion that leads to 80% effect, impact, influence, or inspiration. In simple words, we are saying identify your vital few that gives you the maximum impact by focusing on developing your area of strength with highest level of impact and satisfaction. So that brings us to the end of this lesson, lesson 3. So I guess maybe you have been able to pick one or two things that you can run with. And I want you to pause also here and allow us just to be able to engage briefly on what we have shared. Yeah. So I don't know if there is any reaction, any comment, any question, any contribution. Before we can briefly discuss on the book review. Any contribution, any comment? Your takeaway also is part of the discussion that we can also engage in. I hope you're able to pick something that you can run with from this discussion tonight. Okay, so then we'll move on. And I just want to get your experience in terms of the book review this week. How did you fare in terms of the book review this week? And maybe what was the key message that you're able to pick from the book review for this week? And maybe if Milka, you're able to mention before we move on to the others, I think you can please unmute and just mention something from the book review.
Okay. From chapter 1, I picked that true leadership is from within, and it starts by self-awareness. And then that a great leader know when their mission is accomplished. Then on evolution of leadership, I picked the basic qualities of leadership style as attitude, confidence, and knowledge, and understanding. Then on the evolutions of leadership or the source, I looked at all the theories, the great man theory, the trait theory of leadership, the skills. And then I settled with the transformational leadership as the one coming out strongly, and also the servant leadership theory. Transformational leadership, the one that you inspire people to behave in a certain way. And then servant leadership, the model of Christ as a servant leader. Then I was also mesmerized by the leadership philosophies in chapter 3. And these are the beliefs that you have, and they make you. It doesn't matter how people think about you, but what do you think about yourself as a person? So greatness is separating yourself from other people's opinions or of you, and delivering yourself from people's expectations of you. Then you discover that you are more than what society thought you are. So you should have more from you, from within, something built within, so that you don't depend on the outside, how people react, what they say. Because when it happens, then you might lose your focus, because sometimes people would discourage you. Yes, I think that's what I picked most importantly from chapter 1, 2, and 3. I also sent my summary to your address.
Yeah, thank you, Milka. Yeah, I received your summary. And I see you actually went a step ahead. You reviewed chapter 2. Actually, we were to review chapter 1 and 3, but you have already reviewed 2. So when we'll be reviewing chapter 2, then you'll not need to do it again, because we have a lesson later on the leadership styles and theories. So that time we'll also be reviewing chapter 2. And I like the summary. And I just want to say that whatever you have said, especially being, we normally call that a centered leader. A centered leader is a leader that is being driven by something from you. You are not impacted by what happens around you. Yes, you can learn, you can pick whatever you need to pick, but you have a center within you. You are fully connected and you're able to lead based on what drives you. And one of the key things when it comes to being a centered leader is those issues of personal values and also vision amongst others. So I like that perspective, and I think it has come out very clear from your summary. Beldina?
Okay. For me, when Milka started sharing hers and she was on chapter 2, I thought I had maybe missed out on some instruction, but I'm glad that you've taken that. So, for me, I looked at it in the sense that chapter 1 was talking about that a leader needs to have a clear mission, that they must have a clear vision and a clear mission of what they want to attain. they must know the purpose of their life and go for it. And then when it comes to also chapter 3, it was talking about the philosophies, where once you discover what it is that you want to do, you do not delay on that you immediately act on it. So I was looking at it that you do not procrastinate, that once you get your mission and your vision clear, then run with it, act on it, and try to influence the people who are around you. So in a nutshell, that is what. And then also the source. I also found that the source of your leadership or your motivation is a key determinant of the leadership style that you have. From, is it something that is coming from inside you, the intrinsic one, or is it extrinsic? Are you being motivated from within you to lead, or is it something that is coming from outside that is influencing your leadership? So that's what I was able to pick.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Beldina. Intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, very important. A purpose-driven leader is anchored on intrinsic motivation. So even if they are extrinsic motivation, they don't destabilize that leader, because already the leader is centered on intrinsic motivation. What brings me fulfillment as a leader? Again, you mentioned about the issue of philosophy, the belief. Very, very important, because that is what shapes a leader. The wrong belief will lead to wrong leadership. And that's why you find there are people who have led movements that have destroyed life because of their belief. Yeah, so I think that has come out very important. And from your write-up, you say there is need for the leaders to embrace the philosophy of servant leadership and service to humanity, so as to impact the next generation. That's very powerful. Wow. Brian Moaka. I don't know if Brian is about to, yeah. Okay. Thank you, welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Teacher Kerry. Now, unfortunately, I was not able to do the book review because I do not have the books. Yeah, I've not been able to make the payment, so I don't have the books.
Okay, I think I'll check on that. I'll check on that so that we're on the same page. So I'll get back to you so that we work around that. Otherwise, I think George is having a challenge, and also Marion. So we'll be able to share this recording as we try to sort out the challenge with their connectivity. And I think that's really a very healthy discussion, because we want to just reinforce and also compound our discussion with what we are also picking from the book review, so that we get maximum value from our time together. So you will allow me to move on so that we handle the last lesson for tonight. And we are looking at the core 4 leadership skills. What are the core 4 leadership skills that are very, very important for a leader? The 4 core leadership skills that are very essential for a leader. So this is a discussion that we're going to have maybe in the next 30 minutes or so. But before that, what is your one word about these leaders? Just one word. If you're to summarize this leader by one word, what will be your one word for this leader? I'll show you a number of photos. So maybe on the chat, you can just indicate your one word. Yeah, thank you, Brian. You can see the one word for Brian there. One word about this leader. I'll pick one more because the photos are quite a number. One word, yeah. Milka, thank you. Wow, economist. Let's move on. I think these are positive comments for him. How about this leader? So one word for this leader. as we think about these leaders, I think it's also just an opportunity to think about ourselves as well. If we are to be here on this screen, what will be said? Selfless, patriot, statesman. Yeah, it's true. They are positive words. How about this leader? Yeah, sacrificial milk. I think that's still on Mandela. How about this leader now? The one we are having there. This is Hitler. Oh, thank you, Beldina. I don't know him. Yeah, Hitler, a sadist, yeah, infamous, wow. So Hitler is known by racists by the killing of over 6 million Jews. So it's really not, even from your description, it's not a very interesting story. Well, how about her? How about her? Compassionate, true. Compassionate, caring, wow. Quite positive. Compassionate again, wow. How about him? How about him? Oh, okay. Assassin, wow. Let's see another one. Unifier, unifier. Let's pick one or two more about him. Heavy-handed, wow. I like the way you're selecting your comments. Let's move on to him. How about him? That's Zimbabwe, now in Zimbabwe. Your one word for this leader. And you see, they're all leaders, regardless of whatever they did in life. Now, what defines? And again, you remember the philosophy we talked about. The philosophy really informed whatever we are describing them, and whatever they were able to do was informed by their own philosophy about leadership. Rigid, can pick one more. Stuck on leadership, yeah. In terms of mentorship, do you leave the seat to someone? Maybe that's a point of discussion. What about her? About her? I think rigid also for Zimbabwe, that is the late Mugabe. How about for determined? That is from Wangari Maathai, determined. Yeah, we remember her with the movements. Fearless, environmentalist, true. Then finally, what about the last person there? What is your one word for this person? What's your one word for this person? And who is that person? Maybe you can start from there. Unknown. Yeah, it's the unknown. And basically that is you and me. So if we are to share here your one word, or people were to share your one word, what do you think people would have said if this was your photo? What will people have said about that photo of you and that photo of me? Yeah, so it's not something to respond, but it's just something to think about. Yeah, it's true. As Milka, you are thinking about it. So if my photo flashes one day in my absence or in my presence, what will be? Just think about, maybe we have taken the same challenge and we said, well, your one word for this person. What will be your one word? What will be my one word? And that is why we were talking about the vital few. I'm probably very focused in a particular domain, and I'm able to stand out in that particular domain. Because sometimes when we do too much, then we're not able to stand out on a particular area. If you remember Wangari Maathai, I think she didn't do much, She was just focused on her area, and that's why she even won that prize, the Nobel Prize, specifically on that particular area. So this is just a challenge to help us think about your one word and maybe even document it and start living it out, championing that one word. So let's talk about the core 4 leadership skills. And I will anchor this on the Center for Creative Leadership. Center for Creative Leadership. They identified 4 main leadership skills that are necessary for any leader. One is self-awareness. Yeah, understanding your own impact, your own personality. Okay, your own personality. So communication, influence, and learning agility. So I'll unpack this briefly. And there is a question by Milka. The people here are old. Do we have young ones that we can describe? Will we be described as leaders when we grow so old? I think we'll discuss this. Just think about that, every one of us, and then we'll discuss that at the end of this lesson. So let's just jump into this. I'll take you through a brief of each, starting with self-awareness. This is the first step. If I need to grow, then I need to start from here, because what am I growing? What am I focusing on? And there's this story about these 9 bears. They were given a challenge to climb a tree. So they were all down there and they were told, can you all climb a tree? And each one of them took a different strategy. You can see number 1 had a rope, very cautiously climbing the tree. Number 5, I think, thought about researching first on how to climb a tree. Number 9 decided first to take a rest, probably thinking on how do I go about this. Number 2 was helping number 6. Number 7 was already up there having fun. Number 4 is posing, looking at a mirror. And one of them is already up there. That's number 3, almost done. Number 8 is getting close. And this is a story about personality test. It's the same challenge, but how do we deal with those challenges? And I'm thinking again, maybe we might need to have a discussion on this, because I'm sure you will all come with another perspective in terms of how you look at this photo. Some of these photos speak volume of message. So I think I'll also want just to hear something about this photo. So you can just note something about the photo. As we conclude, we'll also look at it. But we're talking about self-awareness, and we're saying this is the beginning point. And I picked one of the definition of leadership by Dr. Mohammed Ahmed, and he says that leadership is a function of knowing yourself. So you see where leadership starts: knowing yourself, then having a vision that is well communicated, then you build trust among colleagues or teams, then you take effective action to realize your leadership potential. So the first step is to be able to have a self-knowledge, self-discovery, self-awareness, because leadership is first personal before it becomes public. Leadership is first personal before it becomes public. And the most effective way to lead is to lead from within, to start by developing that inner brand that reflects on the outer brand. So self-awareness becomes very important, because when you become more aware of your different aspects, for example, the traits, for example, your personality and the capability, then you are able to pick that as your vital few. Yeah, and that comes from self-knowledge, from your identity. You can also pick, maybe might be a talent, the potential, the aspirations, all this. Yeah, so self-awareness becomes very important. as the first point of personal development. It gives you identity. It also helps you to focus on your purpose in life. So this is the most important step of personal growth, because it starts with having those intrinsic aspects of a person, the personal value, being able to single out your strength, and also being able to single out your weaknesses, and also having an opportunity to explore on your passion. So how do we go about this? There are various tools that we can use, and one of them, which I'm sure maybe we have interacted with, maybe most of us have interacted with it, is the SWOT analysis. The SWOT analysis. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are my threats? And what are my opportunities? So a SWOT will aid us to be able to understand ourselves, understand the strength, and how to maximize on the strength, as well as how to manage the weaknesses, and to optimize on the opportunities as we watch out for the threats that could probably derail our success. So SWOT analysis, this will be the exercise that we shall undertake. We look probably on a journey in terms of our education, skills, the special gifts, the special qualities that really gives us that niche, or those things that we feel when we engage in them, they give us maximum output. So this will give us our area of the vital few. The weakness, again, they're intrinsic again. Maybe some of the areas we need to deal with, it might be in terms of the attitude, maybe a personality trait that we need to see how to build or how to manage. When we operate in our area of weakness, then we spend more effort to get little results. So we spend 80% input to get 20% output. And this is not a good area to operate in, because our impact is much less. So for the rest, opportunities and threats are on the external side, what we need to watch within our environment. So for the strength, how do we need to build? We need to enhance. For the weakness, we need to see how to resolve them, reduce them, or even convert some of them, if it's possible, into strength. Opportunities, take maximum opportunity on the opportunities by exploiting and expanding on them. Threats, we need to watch out and see, how do we mitigate on the threats? So that's one tool that we can use for personal awareness or self-awareness. The second tool is personality type based on the colors. And I don't know if any one of us is able to, or we are aware of our personality type based on our colors. What color represents your personality type? Is there anybody who knows his or her personality type based on the colors? 4 colors. We just look at the 4 colors. Anybody who knows his or her personality type based on the colors? Yeah. Beldina, any clue of your personality type based on the colors?
No, I have no clue.
Okay. How about Milka?
Okay, I do not have the. Okay, basing on colors, I don't know, but okay. my color is blue.
Your color is blue.
The person in blue.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good. So we'll be able to now see how these colors work out with personality colors. So let me just give you an overview of the personality colors based on these 4 colors. They're quite a number, but I'll just focus on these 4 alone. So if you are a blue, or if your personality type is a blue, we always say you can be a combination, but there is always a dominant color. So a blue, this is the language of a blue. Blue think in terms of doing things right. Yeah, red thinks in terms of doing things now, immediate. A green will think in terms of doing things in a caring manner. A yellow will think in terms of doing things together. So I'll give you different qualities, and then maybe after this, you can text your personality type based on the colors. Taking it a little bit further, for a blue, is more of an adventurer. As much as he wants to do things right, he's also an adventurer. Yellow is a caregiver. Green is analytical. Red is passive and also aggressive. Is aggressive. I think aggressive is the best word to use there. For the blue, it's about doing things correctly, understand how to adapt and connect. For the green, it's doing things in a kind way and also understanding others. For the yellow, yellow is doing things together, understanding me. Blue likes to be understood. For the red, it's doing things now, or they are action-oriented. Action-oriented. So a blue is more of an observer in a way. A red is more of a supporter. A yellow is more of an inspirer. A red is more of a director. Let's take it further. Blue are cautious, precise, and also formal, and they question a lot. Green, they are caring, encouraging, sharing, and also relaxed. Red, they can be competitive, demanding, determined, strong-willed, and purposeful. Yellow, social, very dynamic, enthusiastic, and persuasive. A yellow will just take you off course and lead you to wherever he or she wants you to go. For the blue, they are, in terms of the strength, they are detailed, they are accountable, they are thinker and planner. But for the weakness, you can see they are perfectionist and also indecisive. For the red, in terms of the strength, very ambitious, daring, and disciplined. But for the weakness, they can intimidate others. They are very demanding also. How about green people? Strength, compassionate. They're also team player, very loyal. If you have a green will always be very loyal. In terms of the weakness, they can compromise. The yellow, they have a lot of energy. They are lively. Just stay around a yellow and you get inspired. They take risks, but also in terms of the weakness, they can be careless. They can talk much. So we say blue are more of introverted. Yeah, introversion, and thinking style is task focused, calm under pressure, thoughtful and objective. The red, they are extroversion and thinking high activity, working with others, being logical and also focusing on facts. Green, introversion and feeling an approach of favoring depth, reflection, harmony, and consensus. The yellow, extroversion and feeling. Yeah, couple sociability and consideration for others with action-oriented, and they're very entertaining. If you meet with these guys in the lift, this is how they will behave. Blue will have to calculate the combined weight of all passengers and compare to maximum posted weight restriction, and may even wait for the next elevator. A red will go straight into the elevator and press the button repeatedly. A green will actually use the open door button to help others get in. How about a yellow? We'll see elevator as a great opportunity to catch up and chat with people, and may even hold the door open to finish a conversation with the people who are getting off along the way. So with that overview, just a picture of these 4 types of personality based on the colors. Are you able to identify your inclinations? Where are you inclined to? Are you more of a blue, a red, a green, a yellow? As much as you can be a mix, what is the dominant color? What can you pick as your dominant color? If you text it on the chart, I think that will be okay, so that we can look at it together. Milka, you're saying more of a blue. Okay. Brian, green. Okay. Okay. And Beldina, blue. So we can see. So during team building, we'll be seeing these qualities coming up very well as we engage together out there. And I think it's just good to be able to have your own awareness in terms of colors and also in terms of the teams that you are leading, so that you can be able to position people appropriately, because different environment will require sometimes different styles of leadership, or even a combination of leaders with the different styles, so that they are able to be able to achieve the objective. So let's combine this with 4 temperaments. I'm sure we have heard about these 4 temperaments quite often. And you can align these 4 temperaments with the colors. And maybe that will be one thing that I'd like you to observe. For example, if you look at sanguine, we're saying they are highly talkative, enthusiastic, active, and social, among the other items that are, other qualities that are described there. So will this be a yellow, green, red, or blue? Sanguine. Which color will describe as sanguine? They're highly talkative, enthusiastic, active. Red, okay. Yellow. Yeah, I think sanguine is more of a yellow, especially on the social aspect. Highly talkative. Yeah, from the description, I think that's more of a yellow. How about choleric? More extroverted and short-tempered. They're independent, decisive, goal-oriented, and ambitious. They're results-oriented, which makes them natural leaders. This is inclined to which color? Yeah, it's a red. It's a red. I think that one we agree, all of us. It's a yellow. It's a red, sorry. Melancholic, the analytical, detail-oriented, deep thinkers. That one, I think, definitely red. Oh, I think that's a previous one. So melancholic, analytical, detail-oriented, deep thinkers and feelers. Try to avoid being singled out in a crowd and all that. This is more of a which color? Melancholic. Melancholic. Yeah, it's a blue analytical. It's a blue. And then lastly, phlegmatic. This one is basically the green. Tend to be relaxed, peaceful, quiet, and easy. So I think in terms of the color you have picked, it's also good to look at this and just see how to build on the strength that we can be able to identify in these colors, and also to help the teams to be able to build on their strength. Because sometimes what is taken like a negative can really be a strength that can be built on. Sometimes it's because maybe if that awareness level is low, for me as a leader, I may be missing out a very important quality that I'm able to see and align with the particular behavior of that leader based on the quality that I can build on. So I think this is good for ourselves and also for the people that we are leading. So the next the next core leadership skill is communication. I'll not talk much about communication because we'll deal with us as a lesson, but this was identified as an area that is important for leadership. Actually, it came out from a survey where leaders were asked this question: what are the leadership needs in your organization? And quite a number of them indicated leaders who communicate effectively. That's a need. And this is why we picked this, because we felt this is something that we need to really talk about and see how to enhance it, how to build it. So we are saying communicating information and ideas effectively is consistently rated among the most important skills for leaders, for successful leaders. Why? Because leaders, as we said from the beginning, they are relational. We are relational. Two, a leader will champion a bigger vision, and you will require to be able to communicate that vision. You will require to get buy-in. You will require people to participate. You will require to collaborate, and therefore being relational is key for our success. And in terms of communication, again, we need to build on emotional and social intelligence, because this plays a big role in terms of how we manage ourselves and also how we're able to manage people. John Maxwell says that everyone communicates, but few connect. So when it comes to communication, it's about, am I connecting with the people? Are people connecting with me? Yeah, and he continues to say that people may hear your words, but they feel your attitude. I think we mentioned that. Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he says that seek first to understand, then to be understood. A great leader will always seek first to understand, then to be understood. So seeking real understanding affirms the other person and what they have to say. And also it gives you the whole picture. I think sometimes I've watched interviews on our media, and sometimes even before someone gets the whole message, is already giving a response. And it's always good to get the whole picture. And I always challenge people that we need to listen with the intent to understand before we can plan to respond. Get the whole picture, then craft the response so that we are able to respond with all information. So communication is key. We'll look at that. Influence. The key to successful leadership today is influence, not authority. You can be in authority, but you may not be the leader. It's possible for someone to be in authority, but not the leader, because if I'm not influencing, I'm not leading. That's why we picked influence as a very, very important skill that a leader needs to build, because working effectively with the people requires ability to present logical and compelling arguments, and even engaging in give and take. So there's a lot of conversation that has to go on for me to be able to influence. So we are saying that developing your influencing skills will be able to help a leader to communicate the vision, yeah, and also align the efforts of others to the vision. So ultimately, influence allows a leader to get things done and achieve desirable outcome. So influence is key. And remember, someone might be in authority, but may not be the leader, may not be the person influencing. Someone else might be influencing because we have been able to master this art of influencing. We can influence through logical appeals. I'm able to make logical conversations, or emotional appeal. Probably I'm able to communicate empathy and also show compassion, or even cooperative appeal. I'm able to delegate, involve, collaborate, among other aspects. Finally is learning agility, the fourth core leadership skill, learning agility. A leader's ability to be constantly in a learning mode. Leaders are perpetual learners. The moment a leader stops learning, as we always say, then a leader stops leading. So active learning is necessary to develop as a leader. And this is a very important skill, because it helps us to be always informed, and also to be able to adapt with the shifting environments. So only people who are agile in their learning are able to adapt to the shifting environments that we are leading in. So learning agility may involve learning from our own mistakes, sometimes asking insightful questions, sometimes being open to feedback, being quick to be able to pick new skills that we require to be able to perform our duties, and also taking advantages of opportunities to learn. And we are saying that learning agility involves creating a culture of learning and inspiring learning in others. A culture, creating a culture of learning. I remember in one of the cohorts when we were discussing, one of the participants said in the organization, every Friday is a learning Friday. There's some workshops, there's some events going on, and you pick whatever workshop you feel will help you to build your capacity. Then you are able to add some knowledge and some skills. So learning is a culture. And if you make learning a culture, then you're able to build the learning agility in our leaders. So that brings us to the end of today's discussion. So we'll undertake this leadership challenge to undertake a personal SWOT analysis. I'll share the link. So it's always important just to follow the link because it will help us to work through this. And I will also share another link for personality tests. You will do your own personality test, and then we'll be able to discuss the results in the next class. So I'll post this link on the chat so that we can be able to undertake our personality test. So with that, I'll want us to bring this to a close. But before we conclude, there are two issues. One, there's a question that was asked by Milka. And maybe if we are able to reflect on this question together, I think it's important. And then finally, as you reflect on the question, if you may want to mention the key thing that we're running with this week, that is also fine. Again, if you're able to mention something from that, the 9 bears, it's okay, but just pick whatever you're able to mention, and then we'll close it at that. And I think I'll start with you, Milka, then I'll go to Bernard Mwangi, Beldina, and then Brian.
Okay, I hope I have heard you well. About the question that I posed, I looked at the figures that you were showing us, and I realized one thing was common, that all of them were old and gray. And so I was asking myself quickly, where are the young ones that we can also post there and emulate them? Do we have them? And what came to my answer is that we need to work out our leadership. Mr. Kiari, as a teacher of leadership, you have more work to do, so that you bring up many young men and women to the positions of leadership, and they take leadership intentionally, so that we don't see just old people, that they are the ones we are emulating. We want to see, to grow young leaders in all capacity, in primary schools, in secondary schools, people with outstanding leadership abilities. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Milka. Milka, what are you running with this week? Maybe one thing that you can say you may want to run with?
In regard to what we have learned today.
Yes, what we have discussed today. I know we've discussed quite a lot.
The challenge that I want to run with this week is to look for forums and read books on leadership.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay. Yeah, the challenge that we started with. Yeah, so I think that's important. Consistency and also intentionality, as we have discussed, so that even if I'm reading a book, I'm very intentional in terms of why I'm reading that book and what probably I expect at the end of the day. And I take it as a personal development program. Thank you, Milka. Mr. Bernard Mwangi.
Thank you. Good evening, leaders.
Good evening.
Yes, I'm Bernard Mwangi, cohort 7. I am just an observer, trying to refresh but I'm impressed by this class. Their level of participation is very high. And I can see they have started to challenge the global network leadership. Where are the young leaders in the forum of comparisons? I think that is something we'll take up and find out, so that as we look at the old guards, we also look up at the young ones who are upcoming and probably who have had an impression or an impact within the leadership spheres. Otherwise, I congratulate this class very much, and we hope to learn more. I was not able to attend the first lesson on Saturday, but I'm glad to have joined you today, and I'm very impressed by their participation. Keep it up.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mwangi, our observer, for those for the insight. Beldina can also share something.
Okay, for me, what I've learned is about the 80-20 leadership model. And I think I need to work on the 20%. That what is this that I need to work on so that it can help me to get to the 80, like I can get the most out of it. And then just about the personality, that was interesting to note about the personality and the weaknesses and the strengths of that personality. So for me, I think it's a challenge to just understand myself more from those. I believe once I do the personality test, I'd be able to know how to work on the weaknesses and how to just focus on the strengths, capitalize on the strengths that I have. Then also about the challenge of the young leadership, it's also a good reflection, as Milka has posed, that even as we look at ourselves, that if our photos to be flashed up there, what would people say about us? So that is a good challenge. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Beldina. Finally, we'll have Mr. Brian Mwaka.
Okay, thank you, leaders. For me, I would say that I was really amazed by the self-awareness test, and pretty much I need to like really understand what kind of a leader I am, because I'm not sure which I am, if I'm a choleric or a sanguine or the other two. That is pretty interesting. Also, I would also say, like Beldina has just said, the 80-20 percent. I also need to find out what are the areas that I need to put more effort in in order to maximize in the 20%. That's all. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, leaders. And I think what will really help us out is to undertake the weekly self evaluation, because that will give you a time to be able to reflect and think through. So I'll share the link by tomorrow. And I'm happy to also note and add to what Mr. Mwangi has said. We really appreciate your participation and engagement. And we'll actually share this recording because you have noticed that sometimes we share previous recording on the same lessons. But I think from the engagement we have had tonight, I'll not share another cohort's link, YouTube link. I'll upload this one and then I'll post this YouTube link so that we're also able to reflect on what we have discussed and also share with the other cohort on the same that we have had tonight, so that they can also be able to pick one or two things from our discussion tonight. So thank you so much. Let's keep it that way. And I'm sure we'll be able to maximize and we'll be able to pick quite a lot because we said this is learning from collective wisdom and also is a conversation. It's not a teacher-centered discussion. It's where we're able to learn from each other. Thank you so much. God bless you. I request that we unmute and share the words of grace as we bring this to a close. Okay, may the grace
of our
Lord Jesus Christ,
and the love
and the love of God,
and the
the
fellowship
fellowship
of the
of
Holy
Fellowship
Spirit
of the Holy Spirit
be with
us
us
be
now
with us now
and
and
forevermore.
forevermore.
Amen.
So have a
Blessed
good night.
night.
Thank you so much.
Blessed night.
Thank you. Blessed night too.